Voting Theory Class 11 Video 2. In this video we're going to look at something called Gibbard's theorem. Gibbard's theorem is another very important theorem in voting theory. It's actually a more general theorem than just in voting theory. Gibbard's theorem can be applied to most of social choice theory, but we're just going to look at this restriction of the theorem to voting theory today. So let's look at the theorem. The theorem states the only voting system with at least 3 alternatives that satisfies the following unanimity and strategy proof is a dictatorship. So if you recall, unanimity means it's the fairness principle that means if every single voter votes exactly the same way, then that's the outcome of the election. Okay? And strategy proof means that it's impossible to tactical vote. There's never an opportunity to tactical vote. Okay? And again, this is another theorem which is a bit of a, it's like a downer theorem. It's another like impossibility theorem. You know, if you're looking for the best voting system, to ask for the unanimity fairness principle is not much to ask for at all. This is a very weak thing to ask for, right? It's not difficult to have a voting system that satisfies the unanimity fairness principle. You know, if every single voter agrees exactly on the voter preference, then that should be the outcome of the election. That's a very easy thing to satisfy. Strategy proof is the hard thing to satisfy. Okay? It would be nice if your voting system was strategy proof. It would be nice if the electorate, if the voters didn't have to worry about tactical voting. You know, it would be nice if every voter could just vote sincerely, honestly, exactly how they feel, instead of having to compromise about their preferences or attempt some sort of burying or pushover or any other type of tactical voting which we haven't even mentioned. But this theorem tells you that if you want unanimity and strategy proof, the only thing you've got is a dictatorship. Okay, and a dictatorship has its own problems, right? So it's not a good idea to choose a dictatorship. This theorem is telling you essentially that it's impossible to have a strategy proof, a reasonable strategy proof voting system. Like every reasonable voting system will be susceptible to strategic voting, to tactical voting to some degree. Okay, but just because your voting system is susceptible to tactical voting doesn't mean it's like a terrible voting system. Also, it's important to take into account the degree to which your voting system is susceptible to tactical voting. So this theorem tells you that all reasonable voting systems are susceptible to tactical voting, but the level of susceptibility varies wildly. Some voting systems are way more susceptible to certain types of tactical voting than other voting systems. Like the plurality is highly susceptible to compromise tactical voting, incredibly susceptible, yeah? But other voting systems are much less susceptible. They're still susceptible to some degree, but it's like a small degree. So I guess this theorem isn't like the worst thing in the world. There is like still hope that you can find a good voting system. It's just it won't be a perfect voting system. Okay, that's the end of this video.